My vegan girlfriend, 21 female, wants me to get rid of my cat. I can't believe I'm about to type this, but here we go. I've been dating my girlfriend for 7 months. She's amazing and we're super compatible in a lot of ways. She is an outspoken vegan, and she made it clear at the start of our relationship that it was important to her that any potential had similar cruelty-free values. Me, already being a pescatarian, had little difficulty transitioning to a fully plant-based diet. My girlfriend was proud of me for going cruelty-free and everything seemed well. We became the vegan couple on our college campus. Then there is my cat, Mittens. I've had her for 3 years and I adore her. She's such a sweet and cuddly cat. However, my girlfriend was always a little apprehensive around her, and she blamed it on not growing up around cats. After a while we sort of made a tacit agreement to mostly hang out at her apartment instead of mine, so Mittens never really came up again in conversation. Fast forward through all the quarantine stuff. My GF and I have spent a lot of time together during this pandemic and we've started talking about taking our relationship to the next level. We began seriously looking at either buying a new apartment together or having one of us move in with the other. However, after a lot of talking and planning, my girlfriend sat me down and dropped a bombshell on me. She said that with this next phase of the relationship, she did not see a future with me unless I was willing to give away Mittens. She said that she believed owning a cat is unconscionable for vegans, because they hunt mice and eat meat, and because the very act of owning a pet is a violation of vegan principles. I was stunned. I told her that I was absolutely not willing to give up Mittens, and she had no choice but to eat meat, so I was reducing harm as much as possible by buying reputable brands of cat food. Plenty of vegans own cats and think along those same lines. My GF got mad and said, "How much flesh does your cat eat? How many animals died to make all that food? Would you be okay with that being human flesh?" I got mad and told my girlfriend that I would have really appreciated her telling me about her cat opinions before we got serious. She went on and on about cats killing animals. I ended the conversation there. I was so angry that I left my GF's apartment. And I snuggled with Mittens when I got home. Although the mood soured a bit when my GF sent me a link to a Reddit thread advocating for the extinction of domestic cats. I think it goes without saying that I am not going to get rid of my cat. However, it pains me to think that an otherwise wonderful relationship could be ending because of a difference in ideology. I don't even really understand where my girlfriend is coming from because, like I said, a lot of vegans own cats. Now granted, cat ownership can be a controversial topic in vegan circles and I probably would not have gotten a cat if I had been vegan at the time, but I have Mittens now, and she deserves to eat. Yes, I've researched vegan cat food, but Mittens has some digestive issues and my vet strongly cautions against it. I've talked to some of my vegan and vegetarian friends and they all think my GF has lost her mind. Some have suggested that it's not about Mittens and my GF just wants an excuse to end it. They probably don't understand why I haven't broken up yet, but I care about my girlfriend so much. I'd hate for this bizarre curveball to be the end of a beautiful thing. I want to try and work something out. Where do I even go from here? I will not compromise on Mittens and I don't think my girlfriend will compromise either. I slept with my daughter's ex-boyfriend. He got me pregnant and I had an abortion. They got back together and got married. This was back in 1997. I was 38 and my daughter was 18, and she was dating Harry, who was 24. I was an alcoholic and dabbled in other substances. I was not a good person, let alone mother. Not like I was abusive to my daughter or anything, but I was generally inattentive and cared more about my alcohol and substances than her, especially in her teen years. I am 14 years sober now. I disapproved of my daughter dating Harry, but I never told her why. He would flirt with me, constantly, and the age difference also creeped me out. Also, he was an alcoholic and user, just like me. She broke up with him over his alcoholism. Soon after she moved away, not too far, but regardless she didn't live with me anymore. Harry kept calling me and asking if we wanted to get drinks. I turned him down, but then one day he said he had a bunch of substances and I couldn't resist. He came over, and we ended up sleeping together. He was a very good-looking guy. He looked a lot like that ridiculous 80s Justin Bieber picture that was on the front page today. That is actually what made me think about him. For the next few months, maybe like 3 to 4 months, he would sometimes come over and we would sleep together and get drunk together. Any addict knows what that is like to have an addict buddy in that way. Then I got pregnant. I knew it was by him. I never told him I was pregnant, and I went and got the abortion and kept it a secret. I stopped seeing him after that. It was too weird. I also got sober, for 4 months, before relapsing. Fast forward 2 years and my daughter contacts me and tells me that she got back with Harry, and that he is fully sober. I was mortified honestly. He was going to tell her that we slept together, and she is going to hate me for life. They came over one day and said hi, and when my daughter was gone, Harry told me that there is no reason to tell her about what happened. I agreed. It's been 16 years of marriage on their part. They have a kid together. Harry got cancer, then beat it. I got sober. That's basically it. I don't see them very often. They live in Texas and I live on the East Coast. But whenever I do, there is always that tension between me and Harry. It's literally the first thing that comes to either of our minds, I can just tell. I think about this often. Especially when I see my grandson. I always think that could have been my son if things had gone differently, but wow, what a disaster that would have been if I decided to keep that child. I stole over $20,000 in a very creative way in the 90s. I worked at a fast food chain in the 90s when I was in high school. When I worked there, they were in the process of phasing out denominational gift certificates. $5, $10, and $25. The way it worked was if you spent more than half of the certificate, they gave you the cash back. So if you ordered $5.50 worth of food and gave them one of the $10 gift cards, they gave you the $4.50 back in cash. My manager was in charge of destroying all the existing certificates as we transitioned to the more traditional credit card-looking gift cards. So my manager said he shredded the certificates like he was supposed to, but one night when I was closing, I found 2 boxes of the gift cards tucked deep in the dry storage room. They were filled with the certificates that were supposed to be shredded. So, I scooped them up, brought them out to the dumpster in trash bags and threw them away. After we closed, I came back and recovered the back, and brought the certificates home. I counted them. There were $1,025, $1,010, and $505 certificates. None of them had expiration dates. Total haul was $40,000 in fast food certificates. My manager never said a word, he couldn't. He had reported them destroyed weeks earlier. Over the next 3 years, my girlfriend and I toured every location in our state, and the next 4 states, ordering food, and getting the change. We never kept track on a spreadsheet or anything, but we got good at knowing what menu items were just about half. After the first year, we started saving the change in a shoe box, and let it build up. I bought my first car for $7,800 cash from the change. And for some reason, a kitty cone was $1.05. If you gave them a $5 cert, they gave you $3.95 back. We threw away a lot of kitty cones. Edit. 1. We could hit 10 to 12 stores in a day if we drove around for 5 to 6 hours. Both of us would use a gift cert. It was not that labor intensive. 2. The only cameras in the store were at the cash registers and takeout window. 3. The manager has no clue who took them, or at least never treated me differently. 4. Each gift certificate had a generic PLU on them. 5. When we stopped selling the certificates, we were told to keep honoring them because they were prepaid. They were not coupons. 6. One can only eat so many ice cream cones. I'm putting my extremely profoundly disabled 7-year-old into a residential facility so I can forget he exists. I'm not sorry. I can't tell anyone this, even my therapist. Lambaste me if you want, and maybe I even deserve it. I only ask what you would do if you were in my situation. Not what you think people should do. What you would really do. I'm a single mom of 2 boys. 12 and 7. My husband passed away 3 years ago in a work accident. A very large portion of me believe it was a suicide. I can't see him ever making the mistake he made that caused his death, and he had taken an action just before that which ensured his co-workers weren't in the room. I fully believe he killed himself because of our younger son, and no one will ever change my mind. We were told when I was pregnant that he would have Down syndrome. We could handle that. Even if it was severe. It turned out he has a chromosome deletion. His disorder is kind of rare, so I won't post which specific one, but suffice to say he'll never be anything more than he is now or has ever been. And what he is nothing. He doesn't appear to have any awareness and never has. His eyes are locked in one position, he doesn't respond to noise, touch, or pain. He is total care. He is capable of nothing. He is tube-fed and on oxygen. He is in diapers and will be forever. He makes no sounds, no attempts to communicate. He never even really cried as a baby. He has never made an attempt to interact with anyone or his environment. I'm not upset because I got a special needs imperfect child. I feel the way I feel because this thing takes up 200% of my time and does nothing. I didn't get an imperfect child. I didn't get a child. I don't love him. He doesn't have any personality, there is nothing to love. And yet I'm responsible for him. In addition to his extreme delays, he's also medically fragile. Respiratory crises, fecal impactions, his autonomic nervous system doesn't function properly, issues with his G-tube, infections, pressure sores no matter what we put him on or how we position him. Our older son has suffered because his non-existent brother has colored everything in his life. He's had medical care get delayed because there's only one of me and Hoss brother is more critical. We do have a visiting home nurse but only 20 hours/week and we aren't eligible for more. I was starting law school, I gave up my dreams and my plan for my children for this potato. My older son can't do a lot of things he wants to do because of the younger's need for care and appointments. The final straw was I heard a sound. I went into younger son's room to check, thinking he had forgotten how to breathe again, and saw older son hitting him and screaming, "You're why I don't have a mother. You're why I don't have a father. You're why I can't have friends over. You're why I can't be in sports. I didn't ask for you and I hope you die." Instead of being horrified, I watched. And younger son just did not react. No signs of pain or fear or upset. No reaction at all. He breathes but he is not alive. He doesn't know who I am. He doesn't know who older son is. He has no sense of self, life experience, or awareness of his surroundings. He doesn't need to be in my home. He doesn't know or care where he is. He is genetically my son but he is not family. My previously abused, brain-damaged cat who can't walk straight has more personality and is far more lovable than my child. In fact, I was looking forward to raising a Downs baby. Even one with severe impairments, for that reason. With disability can come gifts. This boy is not a gift. He is a genetic mistake. I probably should have miscarried and would have definitely terminated if I'd known he would be like this. And the flip side is, if he has awareness. He's miserable. And there is nothing I can do. If he has likes and dislikes, no one knows what they are. If he is in pain, he can't tell anyone. If he wants anything, he can't communicate. He's had every imaginable therapy, nothing has made a difference. And so he's leaving our home on the 29th. I feel excited and relieved and then guilty because I know we'll be happier with him gone. He's already taken my husband and my son's father. He was working so much OT to pay for the cucumber's care. For the experimental therapies insurance wouldn't cover. Because this one was going to be the breakthrough. He was tired and defeated and disappointed. He sought counseling as well, but I don't think he could ever say the words "I don't want my son in my home" either. He's ruined my older son. I was so wrapped up on the younger I never realized how ignored and damaged he was. He lost his father too. I didn't just lose my husband. He is my priority now and this malignant lump can be someone else's problem. At least they'll be paid a wage to care for him. At least they'll get a break from him when they punch out. I just want to never think of him again and I'm not sorry. And for that, I'm sorry. Will I be the asshole if I refuse to clear my mom's debt, leaving her and my siblings homeless? My mother got herself into an MLM scheme last year despite my brother and I warning her against it. She quit her job because the MLM scheme people told her this was her chance to become an entrepreneur and independent. My dad is supporting her financially now and my 4 younger siblings. She pretty much gave up on the oils after selling them to everyone she knows. She still has a lot more left to sell, but now she wants to do something else because she doesn't feel like she's her own boss under this MLM company. She overestimated how many people want to buy her product and now she's thousands in debt. She won't get a job and my dad can't afford to pay it off without selling the house and his car. My brother has 3 kids in private school, he doesn't have much money to spare. I'm on maternity leave and the amount she needs will wipe out my savings and I'd have to use my husband's money as well to cover this debt, which I don't think is fair. Especially since she doesn't want to get a job after this debt is cleared because she's an entrepreneur at heart, and working for someone's company is soul-crushing. She wants to open a food truck even though they aren't popular in the town she lives in and always go out of business. My mom isn't a bad cook, but she's competing with professional chefs and I'm sure she'll give up as soon as it gets hard. My dad says he plans to sell the house and his car and move his tenants out of the apartment he owns. My mom called me crying because she loves her neighborhood and has lived here for 35 years. She says I'm selfish and evil for not paying her debt because she'll pay me back when she expands her food truck business. She doesn't understand why I don't just use my husband's money, since he won't notice it's gone. My mom has threatened not to allow me to see my younger siblings who I'm close with and to have me exiled by our entire family. Will I be the asshole if I refuse to clear this debt even though I could because my mom's threatening me? I'm dealing with depression and I always try to hide it from my 3-year-old son. Today I couldn't hide it and I am so proud of his reaction. Had a rough morning this morning. Dealing with depression. I'm in therapy for it and taking medication, so I'm on the road to recovery, but I still have tough days. This morning I had a breakdown. I was being really down on myself and had a lot of self-disgust. But my son needed a wipe for his runny nose. So I went to get him one and accidentally spilled something on the way. It was the straw that broke the camel's back. I collapsed on the floor and started sobbing. Normally I try my best to do my crying out of my son's view. I don't want him to worry about his dad. I want to be a rock for him. strong and stable. But in this moment I couldn't help it. But when my son noticed me crying, I couldn't have been proud. He came up to me and said, "Why are you crying, Daddy?" And I said through my sobbing, "I don't know." He gave me as big of a hug as his little arms could and he said, "It's okay, Daddy." He ran over to his wipes and brought them over to me and tried to dry my eyes. He asked me to blow my nose. I did. He grabbed the tissue for me and said, "It's okay, I throw that away for you, Daddy." I grabbed him and gave him the biggest squeeze. He said, "You better now?" And I said, "I'm better now. I'm so lucky." My dad's girlfriend is trying to get rid of me. My mom passed away 5 years ago and I think of her every day. My dad went through a really bad depression and I had to take care of myself basically. During the Christmas holidays my dad told me that he had been seeing someone for a while. I noticed that he was happier and I guess I was happy for him. I didn't want him to be lonely forever, but I did feel like my mom was being erased completely. He never wanted to talk about her and he got rid of all pictures with her in them. He said that his GF will be spending Christmas with us and then moving in. I wasn't happy at all. I don't even know her, but I didn't say anything. I met her on Christmas and usually my dad and I put the star on the tree that day. We would put the star on the tree and watch The Grinch. It's our tradition and we kept it even when we were grieving my mom. It's the only tradition from when she was with us that we actually kept. When his girlfriend came over he put the star on with her while I was in the bathroom. Also, we didn't watch The Grinch because she hates it. I know I sound spoiled and childish, but I was so angry. We've been doing this my whole life and she just came in and destroyed it. The whole night she didn't even bother getting to know me at all. She was all over my dad and pretty much ignored me. I told my dad about how upset I was about our tradition and he said I should grow up and that things change. I didn't like her because she gave me a bad feeling, so I never got close to her. She complained to my dad about it and he got mad at me for not making her feel welcomed. I felt bad because she makes my dad really happy, so I tried being more friendly with her. In front of my dad she was nice to me, but when we were alone she ignored me or spoke to me with attitude. She even told me that I was a brat and I make my dad's life harder. I told him, but he didn't believe me and yelled at me for trying to sabotage his relationship. He said that I wanted him to die alone and be sad and that I was selfish. I was so shocked because none of it is true. My dad basically treated me like I wasn't there at all after that. I felt like I did when my mom died, all alone. I stayed up really late one night because I just couldn't sleep and wanted to sneak in a midnight snack. The GF was in the kitchen on FaceTime, so I decided to be nosy and listen. She was talking about my dad and how much she loves him. Then she said that he had this dumb daughter and she wondered if it was too late for adoption. Her and her friend laughed at that. She said that I was a little BTCH and she hated me. Her friend then said something about boarding school or military school, but I left so I didn't hear the rest. I was so exhausted from all the crying I did, so I actually slept. I didn't tell my dad and I don't even know if I should, since he probably won't believe me. I really miss my mom. I kinda wanna go live with my grandparents, mom's parents, now, but I don't want my dad to think that I'm leaving him. What do I do? Can I even do anything? How do I get my dad to listen to me? Would I be wrong for leaving? Update: my dad's girlfriend is trying to get rid of me. Since my last post I spoke to my grandparents and told them everything. I asked if I could stay with them if I wanted to and they agreed. I then spoke to my dad again and tried to tell him how I felt and what I had heard. I didn't want to film or record because I knew that he would be mad at that and wouldn't listen. He didn't believe me again and thought that I was jealous of having to share him with someone else. I got upset and told him that I was leaving so he could live happily ever after without the burden of having me around. He looked shocked but didn't say anything. I had already packed my bags and had brought some things to my grandparents' house already. My dad didn't speak to me for the rest of the day. My grandfather picked me up and I've been there since. I haven't gone home and I haven't heard from my dad. My grandparents told me that they would handle my dad and that I shouldn't have to be the one doing it. I'm upset that my dad hasn't called or texted me once to see if I'm okay. At the same time, I'm feeling so much better being with my grandparents. My grandmother is probably the sweetest person ever and my grandfather is a little rough around the edges, but he's really a softie.